How's it going, wrestling fans? Thanks for tuning in for the last time in 2021, the Wrestle Report, episode 37 with Phil and Don. I am Phil.
And I'm Don.
Not going to lie, it's been a minute since we last spoke, and I feel like I just need to put that in the intro now because time gets away from us sometimes. This time it was the holidays, which, that's going to happen to everybody, but it's been about a month, and there are plenty of things to catch up on. We tried to get one done right before Christmas, and it just didn't work out. I do want to start with the same topic that I would have started with last week, which would have been NXT, because recently me and Don did go to an NXT show. We went to I say recently, it's been like 3 weeks now. We went to the go home show of War Games, which I just want to start there and talk about that experience. First time for me, second time for Don. Had a great time. It is weird how you kind of park in this random place and you get on a bus and you drive over to the thing. But once you're there, once you're at the show, it's a lot of fun. It reminds me of early NXT days, like the Bo Dallas champion days. It's very limited. You got to get on this weird email list, and they tell you they're going to email you a confirmation, and they never do. Me and Don basically drove out there with the hope that we got in, and we did get in, and it was a great time. So I just want to start off by saying I've now been to the NXT 2.0 version of NXT, and once you sit down, it was a great time.
Yeah, man, I had a fun time, man. I would say the only thing that sucks is the fact that you have to park somewhere and get on a bus to go there and stuff. I would say that's, but yeah, man, fun time.
And it's really like you have to plan it almost a week ahead of time to know for sure. Because they also have in the email, if you email that you're gonna come and then don't too many times, they're gonna blackball you from the list. I guess it's something that could happen. And technically, Donovan was actually going to go to War Games, and he had something happen that he couldn't go to War Games. I assume you're still getting the emails though. That didn't.
No, actually, I haven't gotten an email in a while.
Okay. So hopefully that doesn't screw it up.
Yeah, I think I messed up on that one. But the thing was, I probably said I was gonna go because I said I was gonna go to War Games, then wasn't able to make it, and then I did say I was gonna go to the following right after War Games, and I didn't go because that was the Johnny Gargano one.
Yeah.
But the previous the next week I did go.
Okay.
So, but then I haven't gotten one since.
I remember I got the email for the after War Game show, and I didn't respond at all, and I haven't gotten an email since. So maybe we just have to get back in the line. Hopefully we're not blackballed because I would like to go again. It was a lot of fun. It just sucks being on Tuesday, and we are an hour away from it, and it's a late night getting home, but what every once in a while it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Not like how I was going. I was going almost every week, and it took a toll on my car, I could tell.
Yeah, that's probably what did it in, actually.
Yeah.
How is your car, by the way? Is it good yet or what?
We still working on it.
Okay, well, hopefully that
still driving, but I just gotta be strong,
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah,
it's still able to drive and stuff. That's all that matters.
True. All right, well, hopefully we get that straightened out. So I mentioned the show we went to was right before War Games. I'm not going to break down War Games because one, it's been too many weeks, and there's too many other things to talk about. I do want to say I liked the War Games match itself. I think the show accomplished what it needed to accomplish. I don't know if you considered the 2.0 team the heel or not, but they were the team that needed to win because it was kind of the true transition into this new 2.0 era of NXT. And now that they have, this is really when NXT 2.0 starts, because I feel like these first 2 months was kind of a transition period. And I feel like this show at least accomplished what it was supposed to. And now we're really going to see what their image is for all these new guys.
Yeah, I think the same thing, especially because all the stuff that happened after so far. So yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening.
And that really the biggest news out of that is Johnny Gargano is now, gone from the company. He's not, it seems to me that he's not anywhere. I think they're expecting their child soon. At first I was convinced that was just his way of getting some time off, when they did the Waller thing. Gargano seems to be in a good place. He's on Twitch, he's going to be a dad here soon. So he's where he wants to be, whether he pops back up in WWE or AEW or Impact or whatever remains to be seen. But for now, he seems to be in a good place. What I do want to transition that part of it to is the way they kind of did it with Grayson Waller, kind of ending his run or whatever. Would you feel about how that went down? And do you think Waller was the right guy for them to do that with?
I think that was the perfect thing to do because you want this heat for Waller because he's the new guy.
Mm-hmm.
I believe when we was there, that's when he cut that promo, right?
Which one?
When he was talking over the intro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wants to get that heat. He's getting it. He's definitely getting it.
Yeah.
So I'll say it's working so far. He's getting a lot of airtime. He was on Raw last night.
Yeah.
So like he's building up.
It'd be easy for me to say for the fact that he was on Raw. Like it'd be easy for me to say too much too soon, but that's NXT 2.0 in a nutshell to me. Everything is too much too soon. They don't know what they're quite doing yet. Braun Breaker is easily going to be the next NXT champion. It's just a matter of when is the way I look at it with this. I like Grayson Waller in general. I remember telling you that when we saw him live, and then he really impressed me in the War Games match. I kind of like the guy. I don't know that the consensus for most fans feel that way yet. I think they just don't know him well, and they think it's too much too soon. And this whole feud with AJ Styles, to me, is like, we don't have Gargano anymore, so we need a surrogate to continue this feud. They basically plugged AJ in to where Johnny would have been. And like, this is a good guy for like to show the ropes to would be someone like AJ Styles because he doesn't have much else going on. I think the Omos thing finally is broke up. So that past, I think did they wrestle on Raw? Right? Isn't that was
apparently it was supposed to happen last night, but they didn't wrestle. So
okay.
I guess it's gonna happen at day one.
Okay, gotcha. So once that's done, AJ's kind of freed up. Maybe Waller costs him the match, and that's how Omos gets a win or whatever. Not the best use of AJ, but at least we'll be out of that. What else we got? And then with Gargano being gone, one door closes, another one opens. We had the debut finally of Harland, Parker Boudreaux, whatever you want to call him. Great classic squash match. And which led to, I thought that was the end of it. I put on NXT just to see Harland, just to see my UCF guy. Saw his match. I was like, cool. I did not know until much later, like later in the night, about the scene they did where he throws Brian Kendrick down the stairs. One, I just saw him throw a dude down the stairs. Then I realized it was Brian Kendrick. And I've always been a big Brian Kendrick fan. So at the time of this recording, in about 40 minutes or so, we're actually going to get Harland and Brian Kendrick. I think we all know where this is going to go. So it's not major spoilers, but I like this whole thing. Like I didn't even know Kendrick was working backstage. And now that he, supposedly resigned so we could have this match. And I like this whole thing. I think we know where it's going. It's not going to be a great day for Brian Kendrick, but I like where all this is going. I'm a big fan of, I don't like the great, what's his name? Gracie, right?
Joe Gacy.
Joe Gacy, excuse me. I don't mind the character. I don't necessarily love him with Harlan. I get they're not letting Harlan speak. And the guy isn't like unable to speak. Like he's, I've seen him in interviews and post-game practices and stuff. Like the guy can talk, not with this character. I don't think it would make sense for this character to just be able to talk calmly just yet or whatever. But my faith for the Harlan character is kind of like Braun Strowman. Like eventually he just morphed into like a tough dude. And that's what I'm hoping this becomes. Because, I don't know, like if I try to explain to someone what the Harlan character is yet, I don't know what it is. I don't know the words to put to it yet. And maybe they'll eventually just kind of flesh it out.
I feel that. It's funny because actually I was at the NXT when he debuted. And I saw Brian Kendrick when he came into the ring to stop the melee after. I saw him. I was like, "Oh snap, that's Brian Kendrick," and I didn't know as well that he was a producer backstage, or a trainer or whatever you want to call him. But that's a big deal for NXT because Brian Kendrick he's one of the best out there.
Yeah, extremely respected. I mean, he's a guy that can like when the news broke that like Scotty 2 Hotty resigned as a the news hit me. It's like I didn't even know that was the case. Apparently he's been there for years and years, and that's something like the average fan probably would have wanted to know. But he's out. I guess he's taken a couple of indie bookings just for the hell of it or whatever since he's since he's been gone or whatever. But I assume Kendrick is kind of taking that role, whatever role Scotty left. I don't know how long he's been doing it. But I'm interested where the Harlan character goes from here after, this is a good, put him with a name that everybody knows, that everybody respects, and just kind of go from there. So I think that's pretty cool the way they're doing that.
Now, a question: do you think he's gonna get any offense in? Or you think
Kendrick?
it's gonna be straight squash? Yeah.
I think he'll get some. He'll get enough to like he's clearly faster than him, right? He'll get a couple, like maybe Kendrick's in the corner and he runs to smash him and he gets out of the way and then he like drop kicks him. Maybe doesn't even take him off his feet. But I think it's going to be very, fly and fly swatter type thing eventually. I would give it like 15% offense will be Kendrick and the rest will be, I don't think it's going to be an absolute squat. That would be a waste of an opportunity. You can squash anybody. You got to give one of the greatest cruiserweights of all time a little bit of, and it kind of adds to the whole Gacy's attack on the cruiserweight division, which I'm convinced is going away, by the way. I'm pretty sure isn't that unification match this week also, or is that later down the line?
I think that match is tonight, but I'm not sure if it's no, that's next week at New Year's Eve.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So to kind of transition that, I think it's just part of the war on the cruiserweight division. I think this is it for it. I'm not happy about it by any means, but like the way it's been, like I like Roderick Strong. I like him as a champion for that division, but the weight limit has kind of been lifted, and it's not like the X division where you can just do that. The whole point was the weight limit. So
hey, bro, 1 second, my fault. Okay, go ahead and pause it, bro.
So what do you think? I think the cruiserweight division's done. That's where it's got to be at this point.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if it's not. If it is, NXT does have quite a bit of titles.
Yeah. Too many for the show they have, I think.
Yeah. For a show that's only once a week.
Yeah.
You could get away with two men's two tag teams and a women's title.
The bigger question is, let's say you get rid of that, and then you have like 205 Live become something else, and then it's basically the AEW Dark for NXT, and I think that's a good. Like when we went, we saw they filmed 205 Live, got C Kushida. I bought his shirt actually. Really like this shirt. And like there was just a lot of good. I forget the name of the girl in the Diamond Mine who's really, the buff ass. Like,
damn.
I feel bad because I know someone that knows her, and I feel bad I'm not giving her the shout out right now. But we watched her beat the shit out of somebody. Like they have good things on 205. And like, there's so much wrestling to watch that it gets lost in the shuffle. But if it can turn into the AEW Dark of NXT, I do think that'd be a good call.
Yeah, I think so too. Not as much matches, probably more than likely, because I know AEW Dark has like.
Oh yeah, they do 15. It's like a 2 hour. Like they don't need to do that much of it. But like the amount that they do now is fine. Just make it more of a NXT B show kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
you can put the guys that are green as grass on there because it's only on the network, right? It's not on like regular USA TV. Yeah. So you could even have some not so great stuff pop up on there. And it's like, that's what it's meant to be,
And you can edit around stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny because I the last one I went to, that Lashing Legend versus Saray.
Mm-hmm.
They cut out like a lot of stuff in that match on 205 Live because I actually watched it just to see if I was on TV or was on there or not.
Nice. Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great point. You can just kind of let the really rough guys and girls on that show. And if you need to, if you give them 8 minutes and like 5 of it's airable, just cut out the other 3. As long as you get a clean enough finish, like good to go.
Yep.
So we don't normally get, and I don't want this to be the case, but we have a little bit of breaking news. By the time you guys hear this, it won't be breaking anymore. Legendary announcer and coach John Madden has passed away. I know this isn't the sports podcast I do, but it would be a shame to not just reminisce about that. One of the great, I think still the winningest coach of all time. Obviously, we know him from the video game Legend, the series that he still has today. Game might not be as good as it used to be, but that's not John's fault, right? And it'll obviously be Madden forever. But that is crazy, especially for those that may have seen on Christmas Day. They aired a documentary just called Madden and basically did his entire career from his playing career to coaching career to his transition to broadcasting. eerie timing and John Madden passing away at age 85. Crazy stuff, man.
Terrible way to end the year.
Yeah.
John Madden was, I would say, I'm a Dolphins fan, if y'all didn't know that.
Yep.
I would definitely I would definitely say that he was a better coach than Don Shula, which is that's a big thing that you say, because Don Shula, of course, coached the perfect season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, two legends. Because then Don Shula died this year too.
Yeah, early this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were actually talking about next year will be the 30 or 50-year anniversary of the perfect season. And like there's still some guys around from that time, but it's a shame that Shula won't be part of that. And with the Raiders moving to Vegas too, like John Madden had done a couple of things for the team, because when you think John Madden, you're still going to think Raiders if you think of him on the sideline. Obviously, like that's still, you know him from the video game, you know him from putting lines all over the screen and everything, but like you still got to think Raiders when you think John Madden for sure.
Boom, boom, boom. See, you got this guy right here. You got this guy right here. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I love that nobody has attempted to, like, people draw on the screen, but nobody like tries to be John. Like it would be a disservice. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great thing. I'm happy about that too.
Yeah, crazy stuff though, man. Transitions are hard, so I won't even attempt with one. But any other NXT bits, I'd be really shocked if I'd even be okay with Strong winning the unification match, but just keeping the North American title, like moving forward at that point. But yeah, it's, I don't know if you got any more NXT notes, but going into the year, there's a lot to still be shit. You could see getting rid of the title, maybe changing 205 Live into something else. NXT 2.0 is still kind of figuring out what it is. And then I think New Year's Eve will be very telling as well about what that's going to be.
Yeah, I think so too.
So moving on to AEW, plenty of things to talk about. I think I'm going to attempt to do it in somewhat of the order that they happened. A couple weeks ago, we had AEW from Long Island, the hometown of one MJF, and it's basically their version of Bizarro World, where Punk gets booed and MJF is a hero, and he wins or makes it to the finals of the Battle Royal, Diamond Ring Battle Royal, wins it again. Do you think anyone else is ever going to win this damn Diamond Ring? Because I really thought this was going to be the year.
I thought this was going to be the year as well, but I feel like if he was to get like the championship, I think that'll be it.
Right. And he won't even go in it anymore. He's like, I'm past this. Yeah.
He'll probably be like, if Wardlow's still with him, he'll be like, Wardlow, go ahead. This is your time.
Absolutely. And we're clearly getting in the, some point in 2022, we're getting Punk and MJF, which I'm looking forward to the match, but the promos are almost better than the match at this point. We got the 20-minute back and forth, the less famous Miz, the this, that, and the other we've already gotten. And then they had that 6-man match last week where Punk and MJF were in a match and they never got to touch, which it didn't seem forced. Like sometimes the guy waits too long to punch somebody and then they roll, like it never looked like he had a true chance to get his hands on MJF. So the way that all went down was great. And like, we're eventually gonna get the match and it's gonna be very entertaining, but I just love the chase for this. Sometimes you don't always appreciate the build in something, kind of like the Hangman Page thing. Like the build was probably better than the actual payoff, but when you put them both together, it makes for great stuff.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. When do you think this is going to happen? Do you think it's going to happen at Revolution or?
I think they could stretch it to Revolution. They could maybe do it on
the Battle of the Belts.
Battle of the Belts. See, that's the thing with Battle of the Belts. Is that truly just going to be all title matches? Because if that's the case, that can't happen. I think if it was going to be on the first TBS Dynamite, it would have been announced by now. But we might find out this Wednesday that that's the case. I think they could do with the promo stuff that they have. They could do it. Like it would. By then, like you do risk kind of like dragging it out too long and kind of killing its peak and buzz and stuff, but I would not be shocked if they have another, what do they usually call it, like beach break or whatever they call it, like the first special, they could do it on something like that. So that's like still a month or so away, but I would not be shocked if they waited till Revolution.
I wouldn't be shocked either, because I don't think there's nothing in March or February, right? It's just March.
Yeah, just they'll probably like said they'll probably do some special named thing, whatever they might do. I hope it's at Revolution because at this rate, it looks like we're going to Revolution. So, I would love for it to be there for my own selfish, things or whatever. Talk about other big news too with AEW. The Undisputed Era is officially all elite. All three of the main. Yes, they don't have Roderick Strong, but to be fair, Roderick Strong wasn't an original member anyway. He can do his thing. If he ever shows up, I'd be happy for it. But this is the original three, and I really like how they did this because obviously Bobby Fish came there first, and when Kyle O'Reilly got there, they did not ignore the beef that Cole and O'Reilly have had. Like when Cole first put his eyes on O'Reilly, he didn't particularly look happy to see him. He was surprised to see him, and they kind of worked together for a minute. But things are not all sunshine and rainbows between those two. And then the Bucks aren't happy that Red Dragon is there, and they're on a good page. So even if it's just them for a while, that would be cool. But I'm really interested where this is going. They were clearly the lifeblood of NXT. Any success that NXT had in that era was usually because of the Undisputed Era. And now that they're all here, what do you most want to see? Obviously, we're going to get some form of shakeout between O'Reilly and Cole. I do think Cole eventually goes with, we might get, when Kenny Omega comes back, we get Kenny and the Bucks against Cole or the whole Undisputed Era. That's where I see this going, but I don't think it's going to go straight there. We're going to get some interesting twists and turns along the way.
Yeah, I can see that. I could see that match happening at Revolution. I could definitely see it because it gives Kenny Omega enough time to recover from his surgeries that he's doing. I would say I wasn't a fan of the debut.
It was a little strange. He just kind of slid in the ring, and I wasn't a fan of that.
See, he said previous like 2 weeks before, not last week, but because it happened last week, the week before, that he has a surprise for the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
That was a surprise. Kyle O'Reilly was a surprise.
Yeah.
Then why was he looking strange? And why would you invite someone as a gift for another team if you don't know who like you know they was gonna be there?
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think they were just kind of hoping people were so happy that they were there that they weren't going to think about the finer details of it all.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm glad they didn't just ignore the whole NXT.
Yeah. I will say I did like that. Because
AEW, their thing is like when a wrestler comes in, their whole body of work still matters. We're so programmed in WWE to like, they might mention they're from Japan, but they don't tell you what they did in Japan. Even AJ Styles, when he came in, they didn't mention, they're obviously not going to mention TNA, and like when Gallows and Anderson came in, they just said they're from Japan. Shinsuke Nakamura from Japan. They didn't tell you what it is they did. And granted, they're not going to mention NXT by name, but like they're going to, let you know what these guys were. What do you think the name's going to be? I think it's going to be just the Undisputed. I don't know what.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think that or the Undisputed Elite. If Cole straight up turns on the Bucks, it could be the Undisputed Elite. I think it's going to be one of those two.
Or I mean, why not era of the Undisputed?
Yeah, something like that.
Play on words.
Yeah, definitely.
You can still throw the UE.
Another thing that happened on Christmas Day too. Merry Christmas to the wrestling world. Cody is now a 3-time TNT champion. You either love it or you hate it. I obviously love it. I'm gonna assume you didn't.
I did not like it.
You like the match? I thought the match was good.
The match was nice. The match was decent. I just didn't like the fact that I would rather someone else take the belt from Sammy other than Cody. I would have been okay with Ethan Page or Scorpio Sky because that was gonna be those a beef anyways.
Yeah.
So I would have been okay with that, but not with Cody.
I could see Ethan Page being the one that takes it from Cody, though. I could see that happening.
If it happens, I'll be thrilled.
Yeah. So I think there's the weird, and I don't really like talking about this stuff because, like, a wrestler's personal business is not mine. But I guess Sammy broke off his engagement with his fiance, and then there's people are thinking that it's because of Ty Conti and all this shit. And I think I don't think this had a lot of plan. I think this was let Sammy lay low for a while. I really do think that's what this, because it had no build at all. Like Sammy and Cody haven't been involved with each other in a very long time. Granted, the TNT title is kind of made for open random challenges, so it didn't feel super out of place. But I think it's literally like he wants to go home for a while. Who do we give him the belt to? Cody says, give it to me, and then I'll drop it to when we come up with the real plan. I truly think that was like 50% of what this was.
Yeah, if that was the plan, then I would, because in personal life, sometimes you gotta just relax and recover and stuff, especially from all this. Like I saw like all the Twitter hate that Sammy and
stupid
was
man
getting from it, and like, I mean, this is their life.
My biggest thing is why do you care? Like the last time I cared about a wrestler relationship was like when Lita broke up with Matt Hardy when I was like 14. That broke my heart, but other than that, like I never cared again.
And I would say that was all in character. This is actually real life.
The ex-fiance of Sammy is not a wrestler, so don't talk about her in wrestling business is the way I look at that. Stupid. So we mentioned the debut of Harlan for NXT. Another other big debut recently. AEW finally sends Hook. And my favorite thing about this whole situation, and I'll be the first to admit, the buzz and like popularity of Hook was obviously meant to be ironic, right? But like the first time he slammed a guy in a match, like he faced Fuego del Sol, 2 moves into the match, it was no longer ironic why people liked him. They liked him for real. And then he has the match on Christmas against Bear Bronson, who's much bigger than him, right? And he's still throwing him around like he's Fuego del Sol. And like, I don't know if they need to do anything major with Hook for a while. Like, nothing, no title, no major feud or whatever. But it helps Team Taz to have another wrestler that can actually wrestle. Because other than this, it was Ricky Starks, who's still not 100% with his neck, by the way. That's why he wrestles sparingly. And then you got Hobbs. And I would love for the 3 of them to, if we finally get the trios titles, I think that would be amazing for them. But like I said, it started out ironic and now it's not ironic anymore. So like, what do you think of the whole Hook thing? Because I'm all for it.
I'm all for it too, man. And hey, if I feel like, the godfather of wrestling, Jim Cornette, if he's okay with it, I should be okay with it.
Exactly. If Jim Cornette can come out and say, I love this kid, I think it's a pretty good indication of how good this really is. And what's great about it is you don't have to do much. Like I said, for this whole next year, he doesn't even have to do much of note. Just give him some good matches. We have too many like Punk's undefeated, Brian's undefeated. I do want him to lose semi early on. Like I want him to lose in his first like 15 matches and against like a veteran who just caught him and just then he goes back to Team Taz and like, look, dude, you got a lot, you still got a lot to learn. Like use this and like give us a father-son moment. That would be awesome. Like how he reacts to his first loss. I don't care who it is. It could be someone like Scorpio Sky, someone that's just like, he's a veteran of 20 years and just gets one over on him. Because it's I don't want to compare him to Goldberg because that's silly, but it's the same concept of if Hook is 25-0, you got a problem on your hands. Then it becomes who's worthy enough to beat Hook. And that's just like you book yourself into a corner that way.
And why does he not have a title yet? If he's 25,
that too. Goodbye. He should be number 1 in the rankings, right? Like that would be the case. So I'm gonna say within the first 15 matches, and like they were smart to do this because the AEW win-loss records reset at the beginning of the year. So these 2 are kind of for free because he'll be 0-0 again, and you can get him 10 more before you do anything. He'd be close to 15 at that point. Like, they keep the all-time record, but what shows up yearly will be this year's. So these were kind of for free. Like you got 2 in the bag, and then you'll start 0-0 or whatever.
You start first January 1st. Yep.
But I'm all for it. I love the Hook thing, and I can't wait to see more of it. Before we get to WWE stuff, what are some things, because we don't really have a lot of we have one in-ring thing to talk about with WWE, but what are some things you want to see in NXT or AEW in the first 6 months of next year? What is something that you really think would benefit either show?
AEW, I'll throw another pay-per-view in there. Okay. In between, like, because the last pay-per-view was in September, right?
Yeah, September,
October?
all
October?
in.
No, October. Wait,
It was September
it was it?
because we were watching it
No, no,
together.
no, no. Because there was one more.
Was it?
Yeah,
But
because
anyway,
it
so
was
the
it was Full Gear, Full Gear,
yep, the with
Full
Hangman,
Gear.
right? Of course, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah,
So like I would,
it's weird because they have those two so close together, and then the other two are so spaced apart. So I think I
yeah,
get what you're saying.
I would throw one more at least in
Mhm.
between. You don't have to have it every month, but
Yeah.
like every other month, I'll be okay with that.
Mhm.
So that would that be six pay-per-views for
Yeah.
the
So
year?
right now they have 4. Every other month will be 6. So at that point, you're adding 2, and it's not that
Yeah,
they couldn't handle it.
yeah,
Yeah, 6 would be good. I'm good. I'd be good with 5. I understand that they have 4, and then they have all these other special events in between, and we're so programmed to only pay-per-views matter that it's hard to be like this show on free TV could be just as good and worth looking forward to. I agree. I
Also,
agree. Go ahead.
I got one more actually is with AEW. I
Sure.
would like them to get a streaming platform
I
so
have
you can get
heard more and more that is. I heard
in the
Tony
works.
Schiavone say that it could happen by the end of 2022 because one, they finally have enough library to do it because they have 3 years of content. Um, he basically said this was interesting. I didn't think I'd get a chance to bring this up. That HBO Max basically came to them and with the deal to be the way WWE is on Peacock, they would be on HBO Max. And Tony Khan basically said it wasn't enough money for us to want to do it. Like if they'd have brought the right money, they'd be
Yeah.
on HBO Max right now. But it wasn't worth leaving TNT for basically at the time. So it could, and I think they want to make their own. The only company they want to be involved with would be TNT, I guess.
Or the Turner Sports, yeah.
Because right, all their past stuff, you go on the TNT app and you can watch it all. That's technically their platform at the moment. But yeah, I would not be shocked. That's straight from Tony Schiavone's mouth by the end of 2022.
Okay.
So for me, I got one for NXT, and then this might be impossible. So I have 2 for them. They're kind of coincided. One is I want to go back to regular Full Sail. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but if I can't have that, NXT needs to go back to local live events. They need to have those again. The way we would go to Daytona and Cocoa and Newport Richie and don't even leave Florida the way NXT used to. But I think that would make NXT feel like a brand and not just a TV show again. I think that'd be very helpful for them.
And on top of that, it will actually help out the wrestlers as well because they'll get more experience in front of fans, in front of people.
100%.
Yeah, that's
and
a good one.
My AW one, I think I said this last year, those trios titles need to come. They're needed more now than ever. We have the Undisputed Era now, right? Team Taz is now 3. Like, we need them. I need them at some point. Maybe they'll announce them at Battle of the Belts, right? Like, now that they have 4 of those a year, they need another title match. So that would be that, I guess. So we're going to talk some WWE stuff. Only one noteworthy thing in the ring, in my opinion, right now, it's that Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman have terminated their business relationship when Roman punched him in the face. So do you think this? I don't think this is a great move because like it was a great shock value, but like, and it's not that Roman can't talk. I think we learned a while ago that the dude can speak for himself, but like it was part of the aura. It was part of the tribal chief. And now, as good as Roman is, and he's great, it's gonna for a while anyway. It's gonna feel like something's missing.
Yeah, I could see what you mean. I didn't really care for it. I mean, as in like, I'm happy that Paul Heyman is now basically a free agent, manager, or advocate or whatever, right hand man, wise man. Mm-hmm. Because I think you could pull more of a story out too. Because now there's another reason why Roman wants to kick Brock Lesnar's ass.
Yeah.
More than before because he basically stole Paul Heyman from him. So I'm not mad about it. I think they pulled the trigger, but maybe a little too quick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They could probably done it at day one.
That's it. Yep, I was gonna say that day one for sure. I think everybody knows I'm not a Brock Lesnar fan at all, but Lumberjack Brock Lesnar is probably my favorite Brock Lesnar that we've ever seen.
Oh yeah. No, see that one's good, but then also Here Comes the Pain is always my number one.
But back then I was still like kayfabed myself and like he beat the shit out of Hulk Hogan. So I was like, fuck this guy. Like back then I didn't want to hear it. So that in his first feud was with the Hardys, and he basically like took Jeff Hardy's head off with a chair.
Yeah.
Transition. Wow, I didn't think I'd pull that off. Let's talk about Jeff Hardy here for a minute. So everybody knows Jeff Hardy's my favorite wrestler. So everything I say, keep that in mind when I say this. WWE dropped the ball here. We all saw the video of, him running out in the crowd in the house show. Was it weird? Yes. Was it dangerous? In a COVID world? Yes. But people compared this to the match with Sting, where he like wasn't able to compete. He didn't actually and people were, he got sent home, and for obvious reasons, right? You think old habits come up with Jeff Hardy, right? Totally understand it that you would think that. And it was, trusted people in the industry. Sean Ross Sapp was talking about we don't know, but what else would it be? If you know someone that struggles with anything and they do something weird, your first thought would be it was for this reason. He was fine. He was home. He got released, and now he's out playing music, and he's fine.
I did see that, yeah.
And they don't they said they were going to release the drug results when they got him, and I don't know any drug test that takes this long, so clearly they didn't release it. And the story looked bad, right? Jeff Hardy refuses rehab. If you haven't relapsed, you're not going to go to rehab. So when people were talking about, oh, Jeff Hardy's going to go to AEW, and other people are like, how could you even talk about it like that in this instance? The fact that he is fine, I do hope he goes to AEW, because they kept him for all this time. They haven't done much with him. I think we can safe to say he's fine. Maybe he needs off the road for a little bit, but as someone who is my favorite wrestler, I do want his career to end in a good spot, not losing to Mad Cat Moss on main event. So if he does get a run in AEW with Matt Hardy before he hangs it up, great. But they clearly, I understand people thinking that it was because of old habits, but I think those people need to admit that they're wrong now, because what he did was weird, but not drug related. I think it's safe to say at this point.
Yeah. I would say the same thing. I would say they did drop the ball. I would at least waited until the results came back, and then I offered him rehab. And then if he didn't, want the rehab, I can understand you firing him for that.
Yeah.
But if it was me and I was Jeff Hardy and I got fired because if I know that I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm not going back to those bad habits, then I'm not gonna accept the rehab as well.
Right.
So it's I can understand from both sides as well. Because WWE is running a business, and they don't want this to linger around like that. So yeah, man, it sucks. I hope he does go to AEW.
Yeah.
Unite with Matt.
Yep.
Give me a Young Bucks versus the Hardys.
Yep. One last time, and then we can get them with Red Dragon, get them with a couple other of these teams, just for the hell of it,
Mm-hmm. What does Jim Cornette call the Young Bucks? The
Harley Boys from South Park. Have you ever seen that? Yeah. So my last thought on this is what Jeff did when he ran out in the crowd. I forget who his partners were. I think it was Sheamus and Riddle.
It was Drew. And,
Drew and somebody.
And Xavier, I believe.
Yeah. You're right. Okay, so they were facing Roman and the Usos, right? If the Usos ran in the crowd in the middle of a match and took selfies with people, this wouldn't have been a story. And one of the Usos has a similar track record of this.
Yeah.
Not to dig into people's bad, but it still wouldn't have been a story, right? So that's, to me, this weird double standard, I guess. But clearly Jeff is fine. He's been on tour doing acoustic music and stuff, which, if that's what he wants to do with his free time, go for it. It sucks that it's only in Nebraska and other states I'd never go to, because if he was doing it in Florida, I would have went, because I've never gotten to meet Jeff Hardy, and I would like to do that at some point. So luckily he's fine. People were posting these, they were making these Photoshop things, like the guy died. I remember seeing, thank you, Jeff. He was never gonna be in the public eye again, and everybody really just, and I get it because of his past, but you got to call a spade still. All he did was go take selfies with. If he'd have waited 30 more seconds to do it, the story wouldn't have mattered. You know, it was a house show. You know how much ridiculous stuff people do on house shows they wouldn't do. If he did this on Raw on TV, different argument, you know, but this is just different. All right, so one more thing for WWE. I don't know if you've heard about this, Don, and this is like both a big deal and not a big deal, but starting in 2022, WWE will no longer in America be producing DVDs or Blu-rays. Have you heard about this?
Yes, I have.
So I'm going to start here. What's the last time you think you bought a DVD or Blu-ray from a WWE made DVD or Blu-ray? How long do you think it's been?
To be honest with you, I've never purchased one because I've had the network, so I could just watch all my documentaries and stuff on there. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't really a fan of the documentaries because I felt like it was killing kayfabe. Yeah. I always wanted to own like a WrestleMania, a previous WrestleMania video, or Royal Rumble video, or like the ECW video, all the ECW matches and stuff on there. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to own one, but I just never got to it.
Right.
I know you got some stuff.
So behind me, you guys can see by the world title belt over there. That's all wrestling, and I have more than that. I have VHSs too. I've been collecting that long, but. Yeah. the last thing I've probably like recency wise was, so I got to the point where I would buy if I went to a show, I would buy that DVD. So I went to WrestleMania 33, right? So that was probably the last one I bought. I do have some of the compilations, like where it's like the documentary of the guy and then like their best match. Like I have the Jerry Lawler one, I have the Bret Hart one, I have the CM Punk one, I have the Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. Those are the things I'd mostly buy just because like, if you're one of my favorite wrestlers, I want this 3-disc thing that like encapsulates your career. But as far as a pay-per-view, it would be WrestleMania from, what is that, 4 years ago now. So to me, this isn't a huge deal. And I still hope I would be shocked if they don't still release WrestleMania, like the 3-disc thing. Like if they don't, that's kind of weird to me. But like, this isn't a huge deal, but it's just another showing of like trying to cut costs. And there's certain things like, granted, you probably don't need to make Extreme Rules horror show DVD. Like nobody's buying it anyway. So like the big four, I would imagine you should still make. And I would not be shocked if they walk back a little and make like, even if it's like a limited run, that would be the way to do it. Like we're only making 5,000 WrestleMania 30, whatever we're on, you know, like that would be a smart move, I think. But to not do them at all is it just makes you feel like you don't care about your consumer that much more.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. But I'll do you one better. Dang, I had it in my head. Damn. Never mind.
Okay, well, if you think of it, let me know. I do have one last bit, and we can't get through the year without me bringing up the NWA one more time. I have one quick bit and I don't know if you may have seen this by now. Matt Cardona has shown up in the NWA. And it looks like he's got his sights on the 10 pounds of gold. And I'm just curious, like I watch it, you know, most of the time you only watch it when stuff's really, you know, going down. Does Matt Cardona move the needle for you? Would it make you like when he eventually faces Trevor for the title? Because it seems like that's where it's going. Is that something that you like as a casual NWA fan? Because I think you're still trying to figure out what's going to bring in new fans. I personally think Matt Cardona is it. He's going to bring those hardcore fans over. What do you think? Is it a needle mover for you?
I'd say yay and no, because I say because he's to be a WWE superstar. Yeah. And people know who Matt Cardona is. Yeah. Well, formerly known as Zack Ryder. Right. But also people, I would say no because he was not like a big champion. Like he won the Intercontinental Champion for like a day.
But his following is massive. Are you a Matt Cardona guy in general? Like Billy, for example, shout out Billy. Yeah. He's a big Cardona guy. So like,
I'm a fan. Yeah. Okay. I love his stuff. I love his stuff. Post WWE. Yeah. I always see him on my timeline on Twitter and on Instagram, and he always cracks me up with his little bit videos and stuff. Yeah. I just saw a video with him and Chelsea Green. Right. I guess it was at GCW. Mm-hmm. And they don't have a locker. They was like, "Here's your little new locker room,"
and it's in like the back alley of the building.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yep. But yeah, I'm curious where this is going to go. NWA is really picking their steam back up. They actually have a show in Jacksonville that I wouldn't mind trying to go to. I think it's like next month or something. Yeah. It's Murdoch and Gangrel actually for the title, old school Gangrel, and
Gangrel's
it's called the Duval Brawl, and it's like an indie show, but it's gonna have NWA guys on it. So it would be kind of cool to make it to that, but I think eventually we're getting Cardona and Murdoch, and we'll see where we go from there. Did you remember what you were gonna say, or do you got anything else before we wrap up here?
Got nothing.
All right, last thing, I got the new John Moxley book for Christmas, and I'm like 2 chapters in. Very cool. I'm not a huge reader. I mean, you might know by all the games and movies behind me that, you know, the wife is the reader, not me, but it's a really easy read because, like, it might not shock people to know that John Moxley isn't a big reader. So, like, the chapters are very, like, short. They're like 3-4 pages a piece. So you can, like, you know, you feel like you're mulling through it. It's only like 200 something pages, but it's very cool. It's definitely him. He has a ghostwriter, but it's all his words, like, you know, his F-bombs all over the place and everything. So yeah, I would definitely look into that. And speaking of John Moxley, I hope we get him back early. I don't want to say it's not that he hasn't been missed. I don't want to say it like that, but like with all the stuff going on, he doesn't have to rush back, which is good. So when we do see him back, we'll know that it's because he's like ready and good to go. So another thing from 2022, I want to see John Moxley back kicking some ass. That'll be my last thing for 2022.
There we go.
All right, guys. So for the last time in 2021, we appreciate you guys listening. And as Jeff Hardy always says, we'll see you in the future in 2022. We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for listening.
Happy New Year.